Welcome back to LePodcast episode 80. I'm your host, Hoop.
And I'm your host, Saini. And today we talk about the newly crowned 2023 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets, after they beat the Miami Heat in Game 5 and Jokic finally gets his ring. We also go into a deep dive on Nikola Jokic, talking about where he should rank all-time now and where he should rank all-time in terms of centers. It is a great listen, and we hope you guys enjoy.
The Denver Nuggets close out the Miami Heat in Game 5. They win in a score of 94-89. Nikola Jokic is the Finals MVP. The NBA season is over. Oh, man. That was a fun one.
Oh, man.
That was a fun one, though.
It's our second off-season as a podcast. First off-season heading into as a podcast. And it feels weird.
It does.
Yeah. But I'll say this, at least we had a good end to the series, even though the series sucked in my opinion. It was I'm not going to call it the worst because obviously there were some trash first round matchups. But of all the exciting series that we watched this year, and the finals are supposed to be up there, so I'm obviously going to, talk about it this way. It was the least entertaining series past the second round, for me, in my opinion. And it was the worst finals I've ever watched in my life. That being said, it was still a good series. But when it comes to playoff basketball, I love energy. I love, you know what I mean? Bam and Jokic had a little thing going where they were just, literally, destroying each other at one point, which was awesome to see. Kyle Lowry and Aaron Gordon had a few, getting, aggressive with each other in terms of, trying to go for the ball. Game 5 was great, but it was the worst finals I've ever watched.
It is, I love complaining too. I'll say I'm very excited to see the John Morant decision.
I was just gonna say.
I agree. I think we did get robbed this NBA season. Even with how great it was poised to be even better if Kawhi Leonard had played basketball, if Paul George had played basketball, if Zion Williamson had played basketball. There's a lot that I could complain about. But with that being said, it's just something from this game, because I know we're gonna get into the celebrations and whatever, and looking forward to next season. But talking about this game, I forgot Jimmy Butler was on the court until about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Not even 3 minutes.
Dog was 2 for 12.
He was 2 for 11 before he went off. Yeah. You're right. He was 2 for 11, and then he went on a 13-0 run for Miami.
Until
to be
what?
fair, though, there was some controversial
what?
calls. There were some controversial calls.
What was the play that ended it?
The Jimmy Butler missed three?
The play where he threw the game away.
Yeah, where he just did a turnaround fadeaway when they still had 17 seconds left on the clock and went for a three.
I was referring to the jump stop in the paint where he threw the ball to Contavious Caldwell-Pope.
KCP, of course,
yes.
of course.
Yes.
The KCP, bro, and people were like, what a defensive play by KCP. Bro, anybody stealing that. Anybody. That was right. Was that not, if I had, listen, big ups to, I'm not going to make this Jimmy me, he's sitting here hating on Jimmy Butler. Miami doesn't get a whiff of the NBA Finals without Jimmy Butler.
Of course.
So kudos to Jimmy. You had a great run. You had a bad finals. You had a bad end. You know what? You still played great. I'm not going to let this be my recency bias. I'm not going to give him an S-tier playoff performance as a whole, though, because of the finals. That's fair to say. I think he had, I would say, a B+ A-tier playoff run this season, which is fair to say. The end was ugly, but you know what? He got him out the trenches. So big ups to Jimmy Butler. But I will say this. Do you know, that was the opposite of putting pepperoni on a pass. You know what it means to put pepperoni on a pass?
Well, a little zip on it.
You need to put a little bit more pepperoni on it. You need put a little bit of more condiments. That pass was the equivalent to a hot dog with no condiments. In terms of, it was terrible. It was terrible. Bro, that ball moved. I thought my very legal NBA stream was buffering. I thought it was lagging. I thought my screen was lagging and the things were moving slow. The ball actually, I saw the ball move frame by frame. That was one of the worst passes I've seen in that situation too. And the chuck up three, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to create a narrative here or say anything. But from the perspective of a viewer, And if I didn't know Jimmy Butler, and that was my first minute of watching NBA basketball ever, I would say, this guy doesn't give two craps about this team or this game. he's just playing the play. This guy's, again, what did I say a couple episodes ago, if not a couple last episode, Hoop? Jimmy Butler is playing in this series like he's waiting for someone to pick him up from the YMCA, and he's just like playing a quick pickup with his sandals on and his backpack still on. He don't really care, you know what I mean? Bro, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm hating on Jimmy Butler. I think we might be some of the few people who won't be addressing recency bias and still show the fact that he played great this playoff run. Again, it's like a B+A playoff run, and it would have been an S even if they lost in the finals if he showed up a little more. If he played like he played in 2020, then I'd be like, all right, this guy, like, it was still a great run by him. It ended ugly, and that's the reality of it, right? Again, it's not just Jimmy Butler. Let's not put all the light on him. Miami Heat players in general, the only guy I'm saying that played consistently good is Bam. Bam was great.
Cap.
Bam played great basketball. Cap. You think Bam? I think Bam was the best player on the Heat.
He was.
He was the best player on the Heat. He was the only player that was consistent.
Let me get this off. Duncan Robinson was a dog the whole series, from what I remember.
No,
I don't know why is Max Strus on the basketball court?
I agree with Duncan Robinson should be playing more than Max Strus. I think you're overrating Duncan Robinson.
What is Max Strus doing on the basketball court?
You're overrating Duncan Robinson, I think.
He had a lot of dynamic plays tonight.
He did, but also today he was also getting. Did you not notice that Denver was destroying him? A double team makes
they destroy everyone.
A double team made Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson became obsolete the second player ran over to him. The second a double team gets thrown at Duncan Robinson, he becomes obsolete. It was very easy. Game 2 it worked. It's very easy to understand Duncan Robinson's game, and he was contained.
They're not throwing a double team at Max Strus because he's not good enough for that.
No, I agree with you in terms of Max Strus should not. No. 100% we're on the same page, and Duncan Robinson played great. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that, what are we even arguing here? Bam is the best player on the Heat.
Actually, I guess this is a mute point because Jimmy is the reason like that this would work. But if you have multiple guys with that kind of gravity, I don't know why we're talking about it, then Duncan would be more valuable because he's not getting doubled now. But Jokic should have had like 12 assists tonight if we're talking on the Denver side. There were so many missed threes. Aaron Gordon missed like a wide open dunk that just rimmed out. So looking at this game, I think he played one of the better, offensive closeout games ever.
Yep.
As far as his efficiency goes, and he could have easily had double-digit assists. So we can get into the, where does this rank all time? But
we should get into, and not only that, where does Jokic rank all time? I really want to have that conversation.
I really want to have that celebration ceremony first. Did you see that owner thinking that whispering into what's her name's
swear to God, I said the
was
same
the
thing.
mic?
I said the
Me
same
and my
thing.
brother
were
talking,
He goes up to the girl's ear, and it's not. He doesn't care about the mic. He's trying to like rizz her up. He's like, "I got the best fans in the NBA.
He's like,
I got the best
fans."
And she like put the mic up to her ear just in case he said something like out of pocket, so she could file a lawsuit. Like that was not like she. That was not an interview. That was evidence for a potential court case. Like he was literally in her ear. We got the best fans up in there in Denver. We're just so appreciative of them. And I'm, well, I mean, listen. Big ups. I thought the funniest part about the whole celebration was that, number one, Jokic could care less about the trophy. He could care less about the finals MVP. He literally put the hat on his daughter, didn't put on the championship shirt. I don't know if you noticed that. He was still in his full uniform, didn't do anything. He leaves his finals MVP on the table. Bruce Brown is holding it at one point. It's like Bruce Brown's flexing it. And Jokic is in the back corner as if he's like one of the equipment managers in the team photo. He's not even with the team. Doesn't like... I thought everything that Jokic did was the perfect resemblance of how Jokic is in terms of how he feels about being a player or how much he cares about basketball. The second that buzzer went off, he thought, I can't wait to see my horses. I'm willing to bet that's exactly what went through his head. He did not care. Like barely was emotional. It didn't put on the shirt, and I don't care. Like I'm not hitting on this. Didn't put on the shirt, no hat, left the finals MVP. I wouldn't be surprised if they forgot it in the arena. And he's like sitting in the back of the team photo. The whole time my eyes were on Jokic, and I was dying from that.
I thought it was hilarious when they didn't mic him up, but they showed like a camera at the timeout when he was screaming at everyone.
Yeah.
It is wild to see like how much he cares about basketball while he's playing. But then when the things go right, he's like, okay, cool. Like,
Time to go
I
back
go home
home.
now. I go home
Yeah.
now.
It's it was cool. I will say this also before we Michael Porter Jr. Shout out to him. Had a bad series and he single-handedly kept him in the game at one point. He went on a little bit of a run. He was answering a lot of Miami's buckets. So big ups to Michael Porter Jr. He has, and in his speech, the definition, like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on the podcast actually. So we're gonna continue. I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna get me in trouble.
What?
All I'm gonna say is big ups to Michael Porter Jr.
Is that all you wanted to say? I mean,
I was gonna say I had a whole point, but I'm not gonna say it on the pod. We are ad friendly to anybody who's listening.
Yeah. I mean, going now, if we want to dive into the ring itself, it is disappointing that Miami didn't show up as we thought they would. I thought Kyle Lowry played great, and they had some guys who were rising to the occasion, but you already rose so much those first 3 rounds that it's hard to maintain that. So shout out to the guys that did fight for it. I thought Jimmy Butler, if anyone, was going to be scrapping with someone.
Yeah.
But it happened to be Lowry, and Bam played amazing. My outlook on Bam has really changed because he was aggressive on the biggest stage, which is something that I never thought he'd be. So I think moving forward,
I
Bam
do remember you
Adebayo,
made a point like that a while back where you were like, I don't see Bam being.
Yeah, because even though he was like, I heard Heat fans saying, oh, he's given more opportunity when Jimmy was out, and he's actually scoring 25 a game. And it's until he played the Knicks, not even the playoffs, just in a regular season game where he was just constantly attacking on a fadeaway. He's always been great defensively, but like when he's just looking for his shot, he has a really soft touch in that area, and he's physically dominant. So I'd like to look for, Bam to become a really solid second option. The Miami Heat needs to retool. Maybe it's Damian Lillard.
I was just gonna say that.
Maybe
Miami
it's
Heat
Damian
fans, you're getting
Lillard.
Damian Lillard.
And
Hey,
they'll be
just
scary.
know this.
They're gonna be scary.
Pat Riley knew they were losing, and you know what he did? He wanted Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent to look a little better for Portland. He wanted Portland to think a little more of Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent because they're on the way. But I'm gonna say this: the one thing I am so appreciative of is I'm gonna be able to sleep at normal times now instead of having to hop on this and record. And as much as I love recording episodes, I also love getting 8 hours of sleep. So I'm very, very grateful that we're going to be able to go back to regular recording times. But let's get into some all-time talk here because I think we've already went over the gist of the series. There's not much to talk about. Really.
I got one more thing to add. I thought it was hilarious when they put up the national TV times, like for future games if they need them, right? They had like whenever it was Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. with the Miami Heat logo and the Denver logo where they had Jimmy and then Jokic. They had like 2 of those, and on the bottom it was the NBA draft where they had the draft logo and Victor Wembanyama's face.
They're actually, you know what? Real quick, speaking of the draft, there seems to be a lot of like talks surrounding the picks. Apparently, Pelicans are really like aggressive and wanting to get Scoot Henderson. So
they're trying to get off Zion and his
Ingram
his baby mama issues.
I think it would be Ingram that would be on the move. I think.
They don't like him either. They got some people they don't like in there.
Yeah, but I think Zion would stay and Ingram would go.
Weren't they tight that he stayed out for like a bruised foot for 3 months? Or
I don't know what's going on. I think hot take. I think the only person you look to keep is CJ McCollum because I think he's like one of the perfect vets heading into this new era of NBA now.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're a young team, stick around with CJ McCollum. But let's head into some all-time talk here. I really want to talk Jokic because I think this ring changes everything in terms of how we view him as a player. Number one, never ever compare him to Embiid again. I mean, I think that was already obvious heading into this playoff run, but now this was
it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Heading into this finals run, sorry.
Okay.
Heading into the finals run, the cherry on top was obviously winning finals MVP and getting a ring. Where would you rank Jokic all time? I was thinking, and I might be just like, this is again, we just finished the game, so I haven't had much time to look into this, but just off of like the top of my head and the knowledge that without me, figuring anything out or actually getting players on paper, I would say it's fair to say he's top 30.
Yeah, I think you can make a more of a closer case for top 20. I mean, if we're
Yeah,
talking from an all-time perspective, if we're kind of projecting into the future a little bit, where if we say, oh,
yeah.
he doesn't need to win another ring, like he has his major accomplishments and he just plays at a high level for a while, he could definitely end up in that Giannis territory. Because if Giannis were to develop this jump shot that we're talking about, I think he'd sky higher in the rankings, closer to 10. Whereas as of right now, he's in that, back half of the
20.
20 or whatever.
Hmm. So you,
And Jokic has a chance for longevity since he doesn't rely on athleticism. I know this is some nasty projections, but assuming he stays in decent shape and can play high level basketball until he's like 32, he
hmm.
has like a solid 4 or 5 more years of this type of production. That is going to be like obvious. I think right now he's better than Dirk Nowitzki. I'm sorry. Just as a peak basketball player, I think he does way more on the offensive end.
So he's the
Um,
greatest European player of all time. Oh wait, Giannis is European actually.
um, yeah, I think wherever you have Dirk, I think Jokic does need to be higher. I mean, regardless of how long he played for, I think Jokic is just a better basketball player.
Where? All right, here's the thing. When it comes to Jokic, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired in his prime.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't be
I don't
surprised if
know,
Jokic
dude,
steps away
but
in like his early 30s. I would not be surprised. To me, he does not. I feel like he's accomplished everything he's needed to accomplish in basketball at this point. And the more and more I watch him, and the more I watch his actions on and off the court, I realize this guy does not care anymore. Does not like. He has his family set for life. He's won Denver everything that they could ask for. He ended that drought. By the way, longest drought in NBA history, 46 seasons without a ring. Ended it. Or like teams that have won a ring. I'm sure there's teams that still haven't won a ring that might be longer. But I mean, I would say if Jokic plays at the level he's playing at, and we're assuming, again, this is nasty, like you said, we're assuming longevity, I would put him over Giannis.
well, you got to assume Giannis longevity too. I'm thinking more like there's a chance. I mean, if we want to get real nasty, Jokic is as of right now, I think is on the same level of offensive production as Magic Johnson. Now, the legacy standpoint is different. If you want to talk literal greatness, right? Magic carried the city of LA for however long. And while they had a great team over there, he was the leader of the pack,
He was the head of the snake.
of a dynasty, of course.
Sure.
But from a pure talent perspective, if we want to go peak for peak, I can't name 5 basketball players that are better offensively. Everyone at their best.
Let's go over them. LeBron James.
Curry, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan. It gets weird with like Magic.
Would you put Kobe there?
Playmaking wise, it's tough. Is that crazy? I think I'd take Jokic over Kobe.
All time? Or like as a player? Like
no,
peak?
no,
Like peak.
This is peak offense. Peak offense. Offense, not just scoring, just pure offense.
People aren't going to like it, but when you try to make an argument against it, the efficiency and the playmaking sticks out to me a lot. A lot. Now, I think, obviously, like playmaking-wise, I think Kobe Bryant is underrated, but his efficiency and like Jokic can still, like, for example, like I saw that he had 600 points this run. He played 20 games. I did the math in my head. He's averaged 30 points this playoff run, right? This whole run.
Also,
on a very efficient number.
With the Kobe efficiency, he's not inefficient because he takes tough shots and he makes them. So he's like league average to him is very high because of the shots he's taking. The issue is Jokic is so efficient that it makes that it's as if he was just regular and Kobe was bad. Like that's the way it looks. I can't say that Steve Nash is a better offensive player than Jokic.
No,
I think
not.
He's in the top 5. Who else is there? I'm not saying Kareem.
Russell Westbrook. I mean, dude, that turned my head. And see, that's the thing. I hate that we're having this discussion the second the game ends because I feel like recency bias is really taking over my head right now. So I'm really trying to look at this from like a normal standpoint. And I also I'm not really like, I don't have like notes in front of me. I didn't take a deep dive into these players beforehand, of course. So I'm not gonna call you crazy. And if anything, I would say that I feel like the more I look into it, the more I would agree with it, because Jokic's numbers, like, we're not appreciating him as much as we should be, right? First player in history
you
to lead.
never know you're watching greatness while you're watching it. So
100%, right? Like, let's be honest. Like, when Kobe was in the league, do you not remember when everybody would just hate on Kobe? Am I the only person that remembers that Kobe was just hated on until the second he retired, and then everybody loved him?
People hated Kobe because he was, the ultimate competitor, and everyone just despised him.
No, that's what I mean. Like, but it was greatness. Like, that's a perfect, example of that, where it's like, you don't and like, bro, the glazing on LeBron. Do you not remember LeBron in like Miami, or the hate he got? Like, the glazing on LeBron. We're already seeing it on TikTok. I know you see all those glazing LeBron memes and those videos. Everywhere you go, there's a train coming and it's crashing. Oh no, LeBron's on it, and it's like the video of Spider-Man.
My glorious king will die.
My glorious king. Or it's like there's one where it's like
life.
a plane. There's like a plane crashing and Superman catches it. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. But I think that Jokic is going to be one of those guys, when he retires, we're going to look back and be like, what the actual heck? Like, there's no way this player actually existed.
Yeah. And he's in one of those systems where, had it gone better earlier, I could see him being a Tim Duncan, like a cornerstone of an elite franchise that is not influenced by anything other than himself. Like, he's just this cool, calm, collected guy. You never hear from him, never in the media.
No media
he's
issues.
Just this stone in Denver.
Yeah.
And if Jamal Murray and MPJ, and I mean, they have talent, Aaron Gordon, that they are young. If they were to string together a couple finals runs,
is Jokic not the oldest, and he's 28?
Yeah. And the issue with this is what I've heard from people talking about Jokic longevity, is that people at his size tend to gain weight when they're older.
His
it's
brothers,
harder to stay
show
in
that.
shape. Like, I don't know if you saw those pictures of like Pat Ewing in Orlando, or Sean Kemp. And I'm not saying like that Jokic is just some fatty, but because he is in great shape.
That's what I'm hearing.
When you're older, like, it's for people who are not of this, I don't know, Hakeem Olajuwon level of fitness. Like, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a skinny dude. I don't know how long he keep running, and he's not relying on athleticism, but it's just, you have to see.
Like you said, I think he still has a solid 5 years of being able to keep the shape, and if he plays at that level for the next 5 years,
he's got 3 years for sure of peak level basketball left.
Guaranteed. What would you say, or where would you rank him all time in terms of centers?
Top 10. He's better than those low tier guys, are like Willis Reed, maybe like Nate Thurmond. He's definitely in the top 10, because let's see, we got Kareem, no order. Kareem, Shaq, Hakeem, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain.
I'm going to name off
Pat
players.
Ewing,
Let's do this real quick. I'm going to name off centers, and you're going to tell me if he's better or not.
Peak?
All time.
That's he barely played.
Okay, peak.
Yes, that's more fun.
And don't like it's. I'm just gonna go from
back.
Okay,
I'm just talking pure basketball.
I'm just gonna
ability.
name all of them, by the way, too. Like
pure basketball ability.
Don't think I'm comparing these players for the listeners. I'm just naming off centers for him. Okay.
I'll be nasty.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem.
Wilt Chamberlain.
You want me to? No, Wilt. Wilt had attitude issues. He's the opposite of Jokic, but yes, Wilt was the better basketball player.
Bill Russell.
Jokic. And Bill, it's going to get weird because Bill's better than, I have Bill ranked over Wilt all time because he's greater. But if we're talking pure
basketball, we're talking basketball.
Basketball.
Don't worry about accomplishment. We're talking basketball.
Jokic is better. Shaq.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
It's close, bro. I'll go Hakeem.
I think Hakeem is better than Shaq offensively, like peak.
That
footwork,
is
ability to score. Because it's like Shaq is just pure dominance, which I respect,
What?
and that's still offense, and he's still great. But I think Hakeem is more like talent-wise. Hakeem is better talent-wise. That's my point.
That
I think Hakeem has more talent than Shaq.
it's too late for you.
How is that too late for me? I think
who's
Hakeem
more,
has more.
Who's more talented? Who's like Brooke Lopez shoots threes. He's more versatile than Shaq. Doesn't mean anything.
No, that is crazy. That is a big way to downplay my point. Using Brooke Lopez instead of Hakeem.
I was thinking of someone else. It's late, dog. I was thinking of someone else.
You brought out Brooke Lopez.
Joel Embiid.
If you don't agree,
hold up. Joel Embiid. That was a better one. Joel Embiid.
That is a better one. You know what? There you go. Put some respect.
Dog. It's 11:30.
If you think it's one for me, so be grateful. Listen. I'm not hating on you saying Shaq better than, but I'm saying my personal opinion. I appreciate Hakeem's game more.
So is Joel Embiid a more talented offensive player?
No, I would take Shaq over Joel.
See
Embiid,
that you
Joel
were
Embiid
just
is Joel Embiid
hypocrite.
Soft. I'm not a hypocrite. You're just a hater. Moses Malone.
Yoke.
David Robinson.
Yoke.
Patrick Ewing.
Yoke.
George Mikan.
Yoke.
Bill Walton.
Yoke.
See, all these are going to be yoke now. Yeah, like there's no, I don't think there's a player I can name. So you only, I think you only said Kareem, Wilt, Shaq, and Hakeem. So that means peak, you have Jokic 5.
And if I'm keeping it a stack, I think Jokic is probably better than Wilt. But Wilt was a super athlete. He played against plumbers.
What puts Shaq over Jokic for you?
I think Shaq is a much better passer than people give him credit for. He's nowhere near Jokic's level.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just want you to. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah, I mean he's a better defender. Jokic got eaten alive this series.
But we're talking about offense. I thought we were talking about offensive.
Oh. Yeah, I'll still
right,
Shaq.
The conversation is from offensive.
I'll still lean Shaq. I think he's a more dominant like rim attacker in a era where offense is more inefficient. So like Jokic is very efficient right now. The league is very efficient right now. So I don't know what he would look like in the early 2000s. If we want to start comparing eras, we get real nasty. But his 65% shooting, whatever it is right now, might be a little different earlier on. So he'd have to do this at a continue to do this for a high level for a number of years for me to say that I can put him on a dominance level over than Shaq. Because what we are seeing is offensive dominance from Jokic. It just looks different. It's not this physical dominance. It's just
it still puts numbers on the board.
This wizardry.
Puts numbers on the board.
Yeah, but I'd have to see it for longer for me.
I mean, that's interesting. I agree with mostly everything. Like Jokic is... Like it's a recency bias thing. That's why literally like number one, I'm never gonna have a GOAT debate between LeBron or Michael Jordan until LeBron retires. I'm not gonna have an official like GOAT decision until LeBron retires. I need to wait for players to retire and I can like sit on it for a bit before I actually make decisions because I feel like recency bias is a hell of a drug. Like we just watched Jokic win a ring. We just watched Jokic lead the NBA for the first time in NBA history in a playoff run in points, rebounds, and assists. We saw him do it efficiently. Like he's a dog, right? I thought LeBron did that. Apparently LeBron didn't.
I saw a TikTok, someone saying Jamal Murray was better than Penny Hardaway.
That's not fair. Penny got injured too quick. That's not fair.
No, I'm just saying, like, Penny was an All-NBA first-team guard for, like, 2 years in a row, I believe.
Right, but, like, are we... like?
I'm just saying the recency bias point.
No, I would take Penny. That's what I mean. That's not fair.
Yes, I'm saying, like, people watch the finals and they see a player playing well, and it's, he's the greatest player of all time.
Penny Hardaway would have a ring with Shaq if it wasn't for Hakeem. Like Jamal Murray got his ring against an 8-seeded Heat. Penny Hardaway lost his to a Houston Rockets team that like destroyed. I'm not gonna say that. I don't want people to say, "Oh, he's downplaying the Heat series." No, good. Congrats to them. They got a ring, and it counts. I'm not downplaying the ring. I'm making a joke.
Jokic didn't have to play Kawhi.
Jokic didn't have to play Kawhi, man. No, you know who Jokic didn't have to play? Russell Westbrook. Let's talk about that.
Be quiet.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Where are you ranking? I don't know. I'm trying to think of just like cool questions on the spot right now because I feel like we're coming to the end of the episode. I feel like we're just gonna talk a whole lot.
Well,
of
we're
filler.
also coming to the end of this style of podcast.
Yeah. We should talk about that.
I'm coming to my wits' end with this stuff, with all due respect.
Yeah. I hate this.
I'm sorry for the really scrappy pod, guys. But starting Thursday, or whenever this is released, Friday, we're doing deep dives on NBA players. These podcasts will not expire. So, like, you'll see a Game 4 podcast that'll be cool for a day or two until the next game is out, and then it's, a tough listen. These, you're not going to need to be on time. You can watch them months later. They're all still going to be, we call them fine line content. Fine line content.
That's the Saney Media trademark, by the way.
So we're going to deep dive into a player's career that you might not know much about. We're starting off with someone like Chris Paul, who you might know a little more about than these random players you might go into. But we're going to go through conspiracies they faced throughout their career, why they performed the way they did. It'll still be debate heavy. So, like, where does he rank all time? We'll still have some nasty conversations.
It's just more interesting.
But it's going to be informative. It's going to enlighten you and give you a new perspective on these players that maybe you grew up watching and you still watch today, but you don't really know entirely about them. So I think it's going to be a really fun series. We're not going to get into their personal lives. That's the one thing. This is all ball. But for the off season, it's going to be really fun. We're going to try to do a bunch of players, and so we don't have to keep making top 10 lists, right?
I will say this. I would much rather talk about Chris Paul than Max Strus, and I think the listeners would much rather listen to Chris Paul than Max Strus. So, don't hate on top lists, by the way, because that's what I've been doing lately. Bro thinks he's hoop.
They are fun.
Bro thinks he's hoop. Bro thinks he's hoop. Bro is not hoop.
Can we call it?
We could call it. It's 2 a.m. It's 1 a.m., man. Hope you guys had a great listen.
Shout out to Denver Nuggets.
Shout out to Nuggets. Shout out to Jokic. What a great end to a great season. What a terrible end to a great season. Anticlimactic, but I mean, Jokic got a ring. You got to be happy for it. Episode 80, this is. 81 is a new start. 81.
A new chapter.
Start. New chapter. Man, we should have done Kobe Bryant low-key because 81 points, but we already said Chris Paul. Anyway, we thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys have a great day. Make sure to tune in later this week for a banger episode. Peace.